It's a case that pitted one interpretation of Washington marijuana law against federal law prohibiting pot. Good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Nadine Woodward. Now a verdict in the case originally dubbed the Kettle Falls Five. KXY4's Grace Ditzler working for you. And Grace, we spoke to one of the defense attorneys in this case. So what are their reactions tonight?
Nadine, this evening we learned the verdict in this case. 3 of the original defendants were found not guilty on 4 of 5 charges. The defense says they're happy with the jury's decision, but the fight is not over yet.
There was a lot of emotion outside the courthouse after the verdict was read.
I feel great and the defendants feel great. The jury has confirmed what we've known all along. This was a family doing nothing more than growing medical marijuana for themselves.
The group is accused of illegally growing marijuana on property they own near Colville. The feds say they were selling it illegally, but the group says they were growing marijuana legally under the state's medical marijuana law for their own use. Last month, the family patriarch, Larry Harvey, had his charges dropped because of his failing health. Then last week, just hours before the trial began, a second defendant and family friend, Jason Zucker, took a plea deal. In exchange, he testified against the remaining 3. On Tuesday, the jury made its decision, finding the group guilty of growing less than 100 marijuana plants on their property, but not guilty of the other charges.
The jury completely rejected any notion that there was a drug conspiracy. They completely rejected any notion that there was distribution. They completely rejected any notion that there were guns or violence involved at all. The jury simply held that this family grew medical marijuana for their own purposes. That's what we've been saying all along.
The case has been closely watched as an example of how the federal government will go after criminal marijuana charges in states where medical and recreational marijuana are legal. Defense attorney Phil Telfian says the jury's decision sets a precedent for marijuana cases moving forward.
The jury's verdict in this case sends a strong rebuke to the federal government. Stop messing around with what medical patients in these states are doing. Don't accuse patients of violating federal drug trafficking laws when all they've done is grown medical marijuana for their own private medical needs.
And while the family is celebrating tonight, they're not completely out of the woods. The defense attorney tells us the federal government will continue to seek sentencing and detention. The defense says they will fight back, citing a congressional decision from last year telling the DEA to stop using resources to go after medical marijuana operations in states where it's legal. Sentencing is tentatively set for early June. Reporting in studio, Grace Ditzler, KXLY4 News.
All right.